Bravo 6. Going dark.
Sounds impossible to exist as an FPS fan and not know about Call of Duty.
Daniels! This is what you trained for!
What sounds even more impossible is for a Call of Duty fan to not know about Battlefield. There have been lots of other single-player military games like these that have been dominating the gaming industry for quite a while. But do you know, they have a grandfather.
Alpha to Bravo, in position. Waiting for your signal.
Delta Force may not be the same DNA. It is a different genre after all. But it has most of the same personality, the same feel, and the same clothing on top. But unlike the other games, this one is not linear. This one is a tactical shooter, which means you get to choose your own path and way to do the mission. You can either go uphill and snipe them out like hunting ducks, or you can grab that big bicep machine gun and go full-on Rambo mode. The Delta Force games are not supposed to be an emotional roller coaster of a story.
No! Shoot!
These are supposed to be a military simulation, where no matter what happens, you have to proceed with the mission, do the job, and return to the Black Hawk helicopter. So for this video, it is my mission to review every single Delta Force game that ever existed. And to do precisely that, let's grab that giant Barrett sniper, betray the Alpha team,
This is Alpha. We have a man down.
and locate my subscribe button and shoot down that son of a bitch. The first Delta Force, released in 1998, is only a few months late to become the world's first tactical shooter. It released 3 months after Rainbow Six, which was the first one. But this is basically the doom of military shooters. And surprisingly, even after 30 years, it's still fun to play. It's simple. Just grab a gun, choose your mission, and make them all scream. Underneath this game is a proper Giga Chad. It even lets you play some missions in Chad. Well, even for its time, the game may not have the best looking graphics, but it does have a good art style, a cool sounding ambiance, some advanced mechanics for the time like bullet drop, environmental damage. Can't remember how many times I've shot a bird out of the sky. And that huge open world map, which is not entirely empty because there might be guards walking in the mountains. You can go sneaky peeky like, but stealth is not the best option to play this one. If you do decide to shoot someone and make some noise, the entire base is gonna be alerted and create chaos. And range is not going to be a problem for them. They may be as far away as a tiny single pixel on your screen, but they can still shoot you. All that it takes to die is a few shots. But at the same time, all it takes to kill someone is a single shot from anything. A knife, a pistol, a 50 caliber gigantic sniper rifle, or you can just boom them. The gunplay in this game is satisfying. In fact, it's more satisfying than any Call of Duty I have ever played. Because the whole point to this game was to be a military simulator. And it's as real as it gets, as you cannot spot your enemies that easily, and once you do, killing them feels so rewarding. And it's not just your aim or range, it's the feedback we get after killing them.
We've broken the perimeter. Moving towards the motor pool.
Who would have thought that a game with graphics that look so outdated and an art style that looks no different than a child's drawing would feel so addictive? It's a game with barely any story, it's just military missions. But it's so easy to get into, it's so easy to start shooting. It's easy to die, which makes it challenging.
And then there's the variety of the locations and the enemy languages depending on the location. Like if we play a mission in Navoya, we can hear them speak Russian.
Там противник!
If we play in Peru, we can hear them speak Spanish. And yes, ammo is pretty scarce because, like I told you, you cannot pick up another weapon, and then if we reload, we waste the whole mag. Yes, that is why we have to use every single shot we have in the mag, or else waste. And the most surprising part is that for 20 years, I did not know that this game actually has ammunition refill. Kinda rare to find these boxes. Then look at the scope mechanics. I'm not saying it's bad, it's just odd. And I kind of like it. Never have I seen any other game scope like this. There might be some games out there, but none that I heard of. And the radio comms, the kind of gameplay that happens, the teammates that help you out. It's a wonderful game overall. And this is the only game that I enjoy playing with missions in the night and using that night vision, which is so awful when it comes to other games. I never had the chance to try the multiplayer, but seems like it has everything you would expect from a multiplayer game, except this one has co-op mode. For 1998, that sounds interesting, and it may be the best mode you can go with in this game. But even after everything this game does good, it has some major flaws. It's not something I would care about at a time when I used to play this, but these flaws are worth looking into. For example, we don't need any other weapon except the M4, because it has a scope, you can use it as a sniper, it has lots of ammo. If you have a mission to destroy something, you don't need to pick up any satchel, any rocket launcher, just use the grenade launcher of the M4. Even if you don't need that, you can always use the laser designator.
This is King 6 requesting fire mission, over.
So what's the point of these satchels and these grenades? And the worst aspect about this game, it's the writing. This is supposed to be a military simulator, specifically the American military. And it shows. Take a look at the mission objectives.
Yeah, sending your force away from the country just so they can fight with a drug lord? So the first Delta Force was not really big at the time, but it did inspire some other games. And it was pretty solid, even for today's standards. So is the next game that came after gonna hold up as good as this one did? Let's find out.
Bravo is down. All units aboard, all units aboard.
Charlie team, provide security. Alpha team, secure the egress.
Roger, King 6.
Now the second game may feel exactly like the first game, just with a different coat of paint. That's because it is. This game feels like what Delta Force 1 could have been if the devs knew what they were doing. It looks very much the same. It plays very much the same. But it does not perform the same. These classic Delta Force games, the maximum resolution they support is 1024 by 768, and it is not easy to make them work on a modern system. But we can still use something like a DG Voodoo. That makes the game work with 1080p resolutions and any anti-aliasing, forced VSync, windowed mode, and anything you need. This makes it work. The problem is, for some reason Delta Force 2 seems extremely resistant to any changes I make using DG Voodoo. The best I can make the game play with is 800 by 600. Anything over that makes the game work like this. If I try going a little more further.
Alpha team, moving in.
Yeah. And if I try going with the native resolution to my monitor.
All King elements, we need to secure the uranium mine.
Not sure about uranium, but I do have a positive ID on a urine mine. Now I did manage to record some clips using the 800 by 600 resolutions, but I would still prefer to have better quality footage. Now we have the option to choose a country or arm patch, but it would make no difference because the in-game military is always the US military. So these flags are not As for the game, there are some improvements, like now we have an extra slot for an extra weapon. But just like the first game, ammunition is always reserved. In the second slot, you can choose a rocket launcher, which is the only suitable option, or else some extra ammo if you need them. And then this time we have the option to either play the campaign mode or quick missions. This is a lot more convenient. The campaign mode is of course a classic story with no cutscenes, and the quick missions are just quick missions. And then we have some new weapons. One of them which is this underwater rifle. Now there are rarely any missions with an underwater scenario, and it does not work well outside of the waters. So this is useful in the multiplayer maybe? We have another M4 but with a shotgun attached. And it's bad. Really bad. Which is why we should use the grenade launcher M4 as always. Just remember not to aim or shoot directly at someone or it won't explode. Some extra equipments like this video cam, I tried using it, but it's just to give you an oversight of the whole base if you're not in that specific position. So a cool concept but not useful. Could be useful in the multiplayer, never got the chance to try. And then we have the ghillie suit. Somehow it works. It is designed for very specific missions, but it does work well for them. Now the best thing about this Delta Force are the missions. They are improved. They offer so much more. Like we can hijack a train, start shooting at people while wearing a parachute. The rocket launcher makes more sense because we have to fight with tanks and helicopters. And then everything else about the game, the goods, the bads, it's just like the first game. M4 is still the only weapon you ever need. No consequence of killing your teammates. I do like this feature that we can move around while looking at the map computer just like the first game, but this time we can't rotate, so it's worse. And what have they done with the night vision? Why is it not full screen and like in this oval shape? That's not even realistic. I mean, everyone would have their preferences, but personally me, I don't like this. So Delta Force 2 is better than the first game, but at the same time, it's just the first game with an expansion. Now let's see what do we have next in the list. Now this is where the problems begin. Delta Force Land Warrior came out in 2000. And this time the engine is a bit improved. We can do a lot more than we did before. But then, it's worse in every way possible. This is the first time we get an intro cutscene, but then the game is not a simple military simulator anymore. This time it's more of a hero shooter, with these characters with different abilities we have to choose from. We still have the campaign and the quick mission modes. We still have the slots to choose our weapon, but this time we can carry an extra SMG, and we have a few extra guns like the G11, AUG, the Jackhammer, and a lot more. And we can switch weapons during gameplay. But if you switch your weapon more than twice, then you're always gonna find it with 0 ammo. What, did the ammo just disappear? We cannot destroy anything with simple bullets anymore. Which means if we are on a mission where we have to destroy crates or boxes, then you better carry your grenades or have a spare rocket launcher, or else no other option but to restart the mission. We cannot destroy tents anymore, which was so much fun in the first 2 games. The enemy AI, it barely responds anymore. It takes them about 5 seconds to recognize that you're hostile and then they start shooting at you. And these abilities are just annoying. It means that if you are on a mission where you have to use a scoped weapon, then you better take the sniper, because if you don't and pick someone else like the gunner for example, then your weapon's scope is going to be awfully wobbly. If you want to use the machine gun, you better take the gunner, or else you're gonna have to deal with a terrible lot of recoil. And why do these guns look so ugly? Look at this Barrett sniper. It looks like a baby's toy. It looks so cool in the first two games. The M249 looked so cool in the first two games. Here it looks so fake. And what's with this weapon movement, or bob as we call it? Look, this game came out in 2000. This is another game that came out in 2000. The original Delta Force games, they were actually polygons. These are not, these are 2D sprite images. And it's not just the looks, they function worse. If you take the PSG sniper for example, at first I was shooting at people and it didn't do anything. I tried that over and over again and there's no response. Then I realized I have to keep my aim a few inches low. This is where the crosshair should be. You may be thinking that it may be a feature like Sniper Ghost Warrior, where we have to calculate the wind and the distance, but no, none of the other scoped weapons do that. And then another major problem. I can clearly see them running around the base, but when I try looking at them through my scope, I can't see anything. What's the point of a scope then? And yeah, our snipers do have the feature of zooming in or out. It can take you from 100 up to a 1500 zoom, but it's just numbers. It barely does anything. When it comes to the missions, the first campaign mission is in Egypt. We have to rescue some hostages. I mean, it looks cool, like we have this Sphinx and we have this giant pyramid. We can't get inside of it because that's where the hostages are. But what is this? Hidden pathways behind walls, cryptic messages. What is this, Delta Force or Indiana Jones? And then when it comes to killing your enemies, in the first two games it was a gimmick. Like they would say something in a language we don't understand, but it did sound funny. This time, it sounds so forced. It may sound funny for the first few kills, but after that it just gets ridiculous. There are some things that I like about this game, like for example now we have a save feature. That's pretty helpful. The jackhammer in this game is so satisfying to use. Not only does it sound good, but also it shoots well. And that's about it. The M4 is not the meta weapon anymore. Instead, it's this gun called OICW, which is a failed project that never got into production. It looks so much uglier. Even the M4 doesn't look that pretty anymore. The game also has a separate grenade launcher, but what's the point if we can get grenade launchers with the M4 and OICW attached? And it doesn't even give you any extra ammo with it. Delta Force 1 felt like a passion project of someone who was creative and he managed to do something brilliant. Delta Force 2 was like his true vision. Everything he wanted to do, he doubled down and actually delivered. This one feels like a couple of losers contacted him, told him that, hey, let's make your game better. And they did whatever they thought was gonna be fun and produced this sack of bullshit. Now what's coming up next is the black sheep of the whole series. Delta Force Urban Warfare is the only Delta Force to ever release exclusively for the PlayStation in 2002. But as you would expect, this is not a military simulator. This is more of an arcade game. I have played this a couple of decades ago on my cousin's PlayStation. Yeah, this one. And at the time it was pretty confusing. We could never get past the second mission. And today I got the answer to why. We don't have any Alpha or Charlie team to help out this time. Instead, we are solo in a Black Operations mission. It should have been called Delta Force Black Ops then. But why does the main character act like he's Max Payne?
It had been 3 days since my raid went sour in Colombia. I knew whatever we'd stumbled across was pretty big.
And it's not just the character. Listen to the sound effects of the door, the environment, the pickup, the shooting. Pretty obvious that this whole game is inspired from Max Payne. And the controls are just beyond terrible. I am playing this on a DuckStation emulator, but I am using a PlayStation 1 controller converted to USB so that I can get the authentic experience of how it was like to play it.
Even though the emulator allows us to increase the resolution and give us many options to improve the performance, yet still, no matter what I tried, the game kept dropping below 10 FPS at times. Sometimes it plays smoothly, sometimes it sucks. The controls movement is awkward and bad. Rotating the camera is clunky, I should say. Shooting is the worst part. The funny part is this is the first Delta Force where the enemy does not die with a single shot. And this is the game where it should have been that way. We can zoom, but there's no point to it. It's useless. Let me show you one of the most terrible design for controls in a video game. We have to plant the explosives here, but first we need to equip it by opening the inventory, which we can access through this button, select button. Then we have to choose the spot where we need to place the C4. Then we have to select the detonator and place that somewhere close to the explosives. Then go to a distance where we are safe enough to go boom, but also be in range. Now how do we make it explode? We have to press X to get into detonator mode, and then look at the radar to see what button does it display. That circle button. When you press that, this is when the bomb goes boom. Why not a simple press X to place bomb? And this is where we have to use the night vision, the same way we have to select through the inventory, but the night vision is so awful. It's so blurry. And this is where I made a mistake. This is a person I had to kidnap, but I accidentally killed him, confusing him for a goon. And you know what? Back to the very beginning of the mission. How harsh can this game be? This time I wasn't sure what to do. I had tear gas, but I did not know that the game would automatically switch to tear gas when it needs to. So why not do the same thing when I have to plant a C4 charge? Then what comes next is the most awful mission in all of Delta Force history. I am on top of somewhere with a silenced M82 Barrett sniper. Not only is it hard to aim at your enemies, but unless you hit them a headshot, they are not going to die in a single shot. And they are eventually going to spot you, even though you're using a silenced sniper. They're gonna start shooting at you and you can't even see them. They have no tracers. How do I find them? Somehow, after playing this mission for a gazillion times, I managed to do it. Then I had to find my way up to the ship, of course fighting along the way. Then I get to the ship, get the briefcase, and I have to get out, but I could not complete this mission because when you are trying to get out, you get swarmed by guards. And this was the end of my patience for this game. Because of the controls, it was very uncomfortable playing this, but it did make me appreciate the PS1 era of games more. I felt incredibly nostalgic. And out of all of the Delta Force games, this one has the most kick-ass main menu theme. Now the next Delta Force I am supposed to review is Task Force Dagger, since it came out only a month before Urban Warfare. But I have limited space in my PC, and I did not do the recordings for this game, which is why I'll be covering that in the next part of this video. And for now, let's get to arguably the most popular game in the whole series. This is the worst, the most annoying, the most brain damaging, the most terrible Delta Force game I have played yet. If you ask if it's a military simulator, well, maybe. But to me, this is more like a propaganda simulator.
Somalia is reeling from years of famine and constant fighting between clans.
Most missions in the game is to save the poor people of Somalia, is to deliver the food that's been stolen by the militia. You know, all of those propaganda kind of missions. To show us how good the US military is. And then, every single mission in the game starts with you on top of a military vehicle. 90% of the game is you holding a 50 caliber machine gun attached to a vehicle and just traveling around shooting at people. Only like about 10% of the mission is where we are allowed to be on foot and use the gun until we are asked to be on the vehicle again. Sometimes when a new mission begins, we are on foot with a gun.
What do you think? Are we gonna play the mission ahead? No, we have to turn back and get on board on a vehicle again. We have this airfield mission, and half the mission we are on board on a helicopter, using the miniguns. As soon as you land, that's when you'll be expecting to play some on-foot gameplay. But no, we have to be on board on a truck now. What did you want to achieve, Noah Logic? Were you so desperate to show me how cool the American military vehicles are? Or how helpful your army is to the whole world? Well, for one, we are actually getting punished for killing our own teammates. Apart from the propaganda and the vehicle problem, the game itself is not well made. We cannot just pick up any weapon we want, instead we have to go to these weapon switching or swapping places. That's the only way we can refill or switch weapons. The grenade launcher is horrible, and it's terrifying how simple it is to explain. This is a new engine, but the game feels so much more cheaper. This is not a tactical shooter anymore, because the pathways are linear. And look at this. I don't know what to do here. I get on the truck, according to the objective in the map, and my teammate is going away and nothing's happening. As soon as I get off the truck, my teammate hops in and not even wait for me. He just leaves. How am I supposed to get there now? Well, for one, the shooting does feel satisfying. The weapon models are not 2D sprites anymore. The night vision still sucks, but the nighttime graphics are good to look at for some reason. The game has a save feature. Apart from all of these, this game is so horribly made that the bad aspects overshadow everything else. It is completely pointless to look at the things that it does better than the previous Delta Force games. And that would be my conclusion with this game, as well as the video. So let's continue this exploration of every Delta Force ever in the next part of this video, and we will be seeing you soon. So hasta la vista, baby.